Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the AIBPM Talks, the international webinar. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the AIBPM Talks, the international webinar entitled Strategic Financial Management, held by AIBPM and Universitas Negeri Malang. AIBPM Talks is a program where researchers are supported to present their research results virtually. This program is initiated to enable researchers to collaborate and share their knowledge and expertise. I'm Aulia Zardina, the Master of Ceremony for today's webinar. We are all grateful that amidst the pandemic, we gather here to listen to the keynote speakers and panelists who will be imparting their insights about strategic financial management. And here we will be having a presentation session followed by a discussion. Today, here with us are the 3 keynote speakers, moderator, and 5 panelists. Let me introduce you to the keynote speakers first. We have Professor Majdi Anwar Quttainah from Kuwait University. Hello, Professor. We have Mr. Adi Hu from Universiti Sains, Malaysia. We have Dr. Ranu Jain from Sydenham Institute of Management Studies, Research and Entrepreneurship Education. To hold this discussion, good morning. Glad to know that your connection is much more stable for now. Okay, to hold this special discussion, everyone, we have the moderator who is ready to lead the discussion today. He is Dr. Avijit Bakshi from the CMS Business School, Jain, deemed to be University. We will get back to you, Dr. Avijit Bakshi, because we need to greet our panelists today. And for the panelists, we have Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair from the SIES College of Management Studies, India. Hello, Dr. Rajesh. We have Professor Abu Bakar Abdul Hamid from Putra Business School, Malaysia. And we have Dr. Gede Satia Utama from Universitas Airlangga. We also have Dr. Irfan Hussain Khan from Government College University, Faisalabad. And last but not
good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir. And last but not least, we have Dr. Puji Handayati from Universitas Negeri Malang. I would like to inform you that the e-certificate will be ready 7 days after this webinar, and the hard copy is available with requests and small contributions. The link of it will be shared at the end of the webinar. Next, I would like to invite you to listen to the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya, before we start the webinar. Okay, now we are going to have the Vice Dean of Faculty of Economics, Universitas Negeri Malang, to deliver his welcome remark. I would like to invite Dr. Agus Hermawan to deliver his speech. Please, sir. Hello, Dr. Agus.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear? Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody, welcome at webinar. This is the third webinar, national webinar. We have part of a house here at the Faculty of Economics and Business, State University of Malang. We are located in East Java, Indonesia. As you know, that this is the part of East Java, State University of Malang. Actually, we have the university have about 34,000 students, and the Faculty of Economics, one of the 8 faculty or the Faculty of the Economics. We have students about 53,000. I appreciate for your coming, especially for the speakers, panelists, and also of course for the moderator also. Welcome to honorable speakers, Mr. Eddie Hu from University Sains Malaysia, Dr. Ranu Jain from Sydenham Institute of Management Studies, Research and Entrepreneurship Education, and also Professor Majdi Anwar Quttainah from Kuwait University. And also for honorable panelists and moderator, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair, College of Management Study, Professor Bakar Abdul Hamid from Putra Business School Malaysia, and also my neighbors here, University of Airlangga, Dr. Gede Satria Utama, and Irfan Hussein Khan from Government College, University Faisalabad, and also my colleague here, my dear colleague Uji Handayati from State University of Malang atau Universitas Negeri Malang, and also for Avijit Bakshi, sorry, my pronunciation may be wrong here, KMS Business School, and also for the committee, actually I get name here, Mr. Lim from AIBPM representative, as well as the participant who attended this seminar. Once again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. As a representing the Dean of Faculty Economy, Universitas Negeri Malang, I am very proud to be a part of the discussion at the implementation of the international webinar with the topic Strategic Financial Today, 25th August 2020. As we know that currently Indonesia and also I think all of the world is the people right now has entered to the industrial era 4.0, indicated by increasing the number of facilities, activities available of using digital technology. According to data from Indonesian Ministry of Industry, we are quite capable in implementing Industry 4.0. As the academician and practitioners in the field of the accounting, we need to keep up the flow of this development, giving the knowledge of accounting to our students in expanding. The development of accounting right now is very influential in the life of the current industry era, especially regarding financial management, of course, the topic of our discussion today. By knowing the latest issue regarding financial management, I think that we can be enhancing the role finance in the future. Among accounting students, also among our position as a lecturer, to provide our knowledge to our students. I think this topic is very important for improvement of our capabilities and also our knowledge in the digital era. Therefore, I think that the holding of the international webinar, financial management, will certainly be able to fulfill the knowledge need in finance for generation, not just in Indonesia today, but for the world. We thank you to IEBPM speakers, panelists, moderators, and also sponsor of committees who have organized this event. We are very happy. Welcome to all of you. Hopefully this event can be fruitfully and also running well today. And we can also to meet again, I hope next time in the future, to make a collaboration maybe, to make our research together. Thank you for your participation at this webinar. May God bless us through this seminar. By saying
Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I open this
আরে
seminar.
মা আসে না বাড়িতে বললো তো নিজে বাড়িতেও থাকে না
Wassalamualaikum
এখন বুঝেন না।
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Agus. Okay, next we're going to take some pictures of us before we start the discussion. Thus, we need you all to turn on your cameras, so the crew will be helping us to take us some pictures. Miss Ati, should we start now?
Okay, we gotta start. Okay, good morning. Everyone, please turn your camera on and I will take the picture of each page, and we have 7 pages, so I will start with the first page. Okay, page 1. Page 2. Okay, everyone, please turn your camera on. Okay, page 3. Now page 4.
Next, we are going to enter the main session, everyone. But before that, let me briefly introduce you to Dr. Avijit Bakshi today. Dr. Avijit Bakshi has completed his PhD from Kalyani University, West Bengal in 2011. He has been into research for around 11 years in several states such as West Bengal, Gujarat, and New Delhi. He had worked in some organizations before joined the academic field. He was a part of the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy and Financial Consultancy Companies as well. He has been focused on financial risk management in banks, corporate finance, and financial market. And he is currently guiding some PhD students. Hello, Dr. Avijit Bakshi, are you ready for this?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
We have around 2 hours for the presentation and discussion, and you'll be the one who conduct it. The time is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Avijit Bakshi from CMS Business School, Jain University, India. So I am the moderator of the 2 days webinar. So I will be conducting the presentation and the discussion session. The webinar will last for approximately 2 hours. The schedule of today's webinar is each keynote speaker's presentation will continue for 20 minutes. I'd request to all the keynote speakers to finish their presentation by these 20 minutes only, because we have a time constraint, time limitation is there. And followed by the question and answer session that will be max to max, it will continue for the 60 minutes. So before we start the presentation, I would like to inform you the rules of the webinar. All the panelists and the participants will be muted during the presentation. There will be question and answer session after the keynote speaker finished his presentation. For panelists and the participants, please click the raise hand button if you have anything to ask or suggest to the keynote speaker. The moderator has the authority to choose who will deliver the question for the suggestion. All the participants, panelists, moderator, and the keynote speaker will get an e-certificate that will be distributed maximum 7 days after the webinar. If you have not received the certificate within 7 days, please send us an inquiry to email aibpm.conference@gmail.com. Now, as we know that we are passing through an unprecedented this pandemic situation, whole world we are battling against this pandemic situation. Now, today's the topic of the webinar, that is strategic financial management, is very apt. Now, I received some question from that panelist also regarding that how to confront with this situation. So we are anxiously waiting for all this presentation from the keynote speakers, and would like to know something about how to, since we are passing through this unprecedented situation, so the business and the commerce at a large world over, they are battling also. They are under stress, financially stress condition. So how to battle this, how to come over from this financial distress, and what is the way out? So we are anxiously waiting for the keynote speakers to hear about something on the strategical point of view in time of this pandemic situation. So how to battle, is there any way out, how to way out from this situation? For the business, for the industry, for the commercial houses, for the banks, financial institutions, for the any institution. So now let's start this session, the presentations of our keynote speaker. So our first keynote speaker, Professor Majdi Anwar Quttainah from Kuwait University. A brief introduction about Professor Majdi. He is an associate professor of management in the College of Business Administration at Kuwait University and works on consultation and training project as a freelancer. His research and teaching interest are corporate governance, 3 levels of strategies, especially that corporate strategy, international management and business entrepreneurship and small business and organizational change and development. In addition, as recognition to research, he was awarded the Best Young Researchers Academic Year 2016-17 Kuwait University. Professor Majdi, the time is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I will try to be concise as much as I can. And we'll take it from there. Let's see. I have to share my screen. Okay, again, good morning. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you whatever I have already compiled and gathered with regards to strategies for companies during a crisis or during the COVID-19 pandemic. So let me start first. How to plan your company's future during the pandemic? This question has been answered several times. However, I will try to answer it from a different perspective. First of all, let me say that the most successful companies during the COVID-19 pandemic is those companies who were able to move or gradually shift from normal business transaction into digitalization. And before I start explaining what digitalization is and the importance of digitalization, we need to take some concepts into consideration. First of all, we need to know what digitalization is, which is the conversion of analog to digital. And it is somehow different from digitalization, which is anything that could be viewed or accessed electronically using electronic equipment. And the difference between the digitalization and digitized is basically the data. So how the data to impact how work gets done. It's basically the transformation from analog to digital. And then the automation. Automation is basically using information technology to take on repetitive process and tasks. Now, what is the difference between digitalization and technology? Okay. And most importantly, why when we start investigating the factors that allowed companies to become successful during the pandemic, especially that in certain countries or in most of the countries, we had either a total lockdown or a partial lockdown, and basically companies were not able to function properly, especially employees or laborers were unable to reach from A to Z in order to go to their works. The mere concentration of my analysis is basically to understand the companies from within three different scopes. First of all, have the companies moved into digitalization? Have they become digital during or prior to the COVID-19 or not? According to the data, companies who moved or were in the process of the transformation into digitalization were the ones who became successful during this pandemic. And the reasons are different. And the most important ones that you can always work from any different location, virtually from your home or from any other locations. But most importantly, when we need to even look at how companies start their strategies, we should understand and we should know that there are three levels of strategies. That is the corporate level strategy, the business level strategy, and the functional level strategies. All of them are equally important, and what could even boost achieving the corporate level strategy is our understanding of what sort of design the organization usually adopt. What do I mean by design? Is basically when we talk about the design, we are talking about what sort of structure the company adopt. Not the structure, whether it's vertical or horizontal. No, I'm not talking about this. I am talking about a specific design. Is the company following a rigid design? We refer to it as the mechanistic design, or is it following the organic or the learning design? The difference between both of them is that the mechanistic design is rigid. There is no delegation of authority. Usually authority is centralized. There is no window for learning. Everyone will need to work as a machine. And most importantly, in this specific design, the organization usually is a large organization. Specifically could be manufacturing organization, and because of that it is usually after efficiency rather than effectiveness. And efficiency because they don't need to waste any time, money or resources, whereas when we need to compare companies that adopt the organic or the learning design, we will ought to see that there is a delegation of authority, there is no centralization, and it gives us as employees, management, laborers, the opportunity to learn. Why? Because it helps everyone within the organization to become creative. This is what it caters for. And because of that, it is very successful to adopt this when your organization is small to medium enterprise or organization. And most importantly, it allows for horizontal integration or horizontal coordination. And this is really important. Why? Because most departments will be able to coordinate and cooperate with each other. And this is the focal point of the presentation. When my organization is after successful implementation of a sudden, because this approach, when we start talking about the organization design, we are talking about proactive approach, whereas for the mechanistic, it's usually reactive, because you just cannot stop operation and start thinking about how to proact. It's usually you need to stop every single process of the of the production in order to be able to react. And this type of approach usually takes a lot of time, and it could have very negative consequences. Now, when we start applying our understanding of the organization, we should understand that there is important factors that usually needs to be taken into consideration with our strategies and for the design. That we need to understand that there are two equally important factors for our design, which is the dimensions of the organization. There is the contextual and there is the structural. In order to have a very successful strategies, we need to understand that what are the positive or the negative factors that could influence the organization, whether in terms of strategies, in terms of being proactive or reactive. Of course, when we talk about the structure, we are talking about the internal the internality of the organization, which is the formalization of the organization, the specialization, hierarchy of the authority, centralization, and professionalism. And when we need to talk about or to analyze the contextual, of course, we are going to be talking about the organization size, technology, is it up to date, the environment. Some could ask me, what do you mean by the environment? Is it the internal or the external? It could be both, but most importantly, it will be looking at or focusing on the external environment and what sort of effects it will have on the organization. And of course, we need to take into consideration the goals, the strategies, and the missions of the organization. And having all of these four elements or components of the contextual dimension is the organization culture. Is the culture helpful in coordination, in terms of learning, in terms of extending whatever needs to be extended in terms of liaising the authority for the employees or the management to make the decisions or not. And here we can start, for example, understanding what sort of strategies that should be done. I'm talking about the organic strategies. Now, of course, each organization must have its strategic intent. And the strategic intent is basically what are the most important elements in terms of the mission, the competitive advantage, and the core competence we need in order to achieve our operational goals. So the mission is basically what? They are the statements. What is it exactly we are having in terms of missions that will enable us to achieve our vision. We can talk about the human capital, we can talk about what sort of expertise we have, what sort of overall targeted not only clients, stakeholders we have that will make our vision achievable. And of course, what is the thing that makes us unique or special in order to be able to achieve our competitive advantage. Now, when we have all of this, we need to have the operational goals or the operative goals, which is the performance, the resources, the market. But yet, when we start talking about these elements, we need to take into consideration an important factor, which is how are our goals or the importance of the goals. Okay, as we said earlier, that we need to have a clear vision statement. We need to have a very realistic corporate level strategy, and from the corporate level strategy, of course, the executive management will have its share of it, and it is the business level strategy. How are we going to be able to interpret the corporate level strategies into short terms and medium terms goals that will enable the executive management to achieve the overall corporate level strategies. And then when we talk about during the pandemic, what happened, for example, if we take into consideration the existing COVID-19, the most successful companies during COVID-19 were the companies who were successfully transformed into digitalization. And when we take a closer look, if we are talking about a learning organization or the organic design, we can say that Google is one of the companies who has been adopting the organic design pre and during the pandemic 19. And we could also notice that not only from their financial statements, but even from their day-to-day operation and communication with their customers, they did not even miss one day of responding or corresponding with their either stakeholders or their customers. However, when we need to look at a mechanistic design, and they were somehow successful as well, as McDonald's. They use mechanistic approach. They operate locally, regionally, and internationally, and some people, especially students, asked me, how come you always promote for organic design and it is the best during any crisis? However, when we look at McDonald's, they were somehow successful. They as an organization are successful or were successful during the pandemic 19 is not only because they were adopting the mechanistic approach. No, because mainly those who are used to have the junk food or to order online, they were much more willing to order online rather than walking or going to the restaurant and receive their order or pick up their order. And one element helped the organization, McDonald's, in achieving not only efficient but effective approach in terms of employee satisfaction, shareholder satisfaction, and the clients where their standardization of products and services. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, whenever you enter or call or even order online, They use the same technique and the same approach. They will not deviate, except, of course, for their menu. When you go from a continent to another, you would tend to find additional meals that would satisfy the traditions or the dishes of the country. Now, when we need to talk about another organization, we can talk about Amazon. Amazon, the beauty of that company is that it is adopting two different designs at the same time. They are adopting the mechanistic approach and the organic approach. How they are doing that? They are doing the mechanistic approach when we are talking about the centralization. Basically, everything is centralized. No one has the authority to make any concession or to try to add service or exclude anything without having the vertical approval, which is the chief executive officer or the chair of the board. And when they started liaising in the middle management. How? They started allowing for different not only Amazon products or Amazon items were sold, they were using different vendors within their system in order to forfeit for any delays or shortage in their products or services. And now,
sorry to interrupt, Professor Majdi. It is just 2 minutes to go, for
okay. To sum up, when we need to understand what sort of strategies that we should be applying, again, we need to identify what sort of vision, what sort of mission statement, the corporate level strategies, understand the dimensions of the organization, the structure of the organization, and then we need to understand that in the organic organization, it works in a very dynamic environment, changing environment. It will always work. But under the mechanistic, it is highly unlikely that most organizations will be able to become proactive and try to work in a dynamic environment. So the difference is you have rigid design and you have a very lenient design. The lenient design is the organic and the rigid design is the mechanistic. And from these two different designs, we will be able to determine how to move ahead with our strategies and our organic strategies, the ones that I couldn't cover right now because I needed some more time. And this is what I initially asked for, extra time. Thank you. And I will stop here because the rest will be, of course, repetitive of whatever I was planning to talk about. Anyways, thank you. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them now or whenever it is feasible. Thank you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Sorry, Professor Majdi, we have to interrupt you too because we have some time constraint. We have to finish it by 20 minutes. I think you can understand. So the question and answer session, we will take it at last when all the presentations will be over. So our second keynote speaker, Mr. A.D. Hu from Universiti Sains, Malaysia. So he's a former senior banker with 26 years of experience in the financial sector. He currently provides consultancy services to business, mainly in the financial related areas. He is involved in training and writing books and publications. He is pursuing his PhD study with USM on succession planning for the family business. He is also an active member of the various agencies, namely UNESCAP, SME Corp, and MPC. Mr. Eddie Ho, the time is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Bakshi, and good morning to everyone. First of all, allow me to thank the organizer, AIBPM, for extending me the opportunity to share my thoughts on financial management. Okay, let me first share my slides here. Next step, yeah. So how do when we look at the financial statement, we see a lot of numbers, right? So every time when we look at when I was in the bank, so we time browsing through financial services. So a lot of numbers. So sometimes these numbers don't provide much information to us. So we need to dissect, right, and interpret the numbers so that this financial statement becomes useful to us. So on the left hand side, you see a bar chart. So there are three areas that I mentioned here, highlighted here. The first one is ratio analysis. The second and third, I will touch on it later at the end of this. So ratio analysis is the most common approach used by businesses when they want to dissect financial business. Yeah. So this analysis basically involves three financial reports, which is balance sheet, profit and loss. So as I suppose everyone is familiar with all these three reports. Yeah. So you can actually look at it. Yeah. So as mentioned, this report, the financial figure on its own provide very limited information. So we need to carry out analysis. So the most important thing in ratio analysis is to find trend of the ratio. So this is the reason why we always do analysis over multiple years. So we do 2019, 2018, and 2017. We will look across the years to identify the trend, whether the sales has been on the increasing trend, in the profitability, how about the debt ratio, all these things. Yeah. So and the other thing that is very important in financial analysis is to compare this ratio with that of the industry average. Let's say this business is steel manufacturing. How would the ratio look like when you compare this ratio with another company that is carrying out the similar industry, right? So we need to look at two areas. One is trend of the financial ratios, and number two is the comparison with the industry average. So by doing so, we will have a better gauge of the financial of the company. So balance sheet basically, I will not spend a lot of time here. Balance sheet basically is a snapshot of our financial specific. Let's say we look at the balance sheet the first of November 21. So it indicates what the company has on. They changed the day before, it may be different the day before or even the day. So do you go to that? How customer can manipulate some of the numbers? And profit and loss, unlike the balance sheet, profit and loss statement reflect the cumulative performance over the entire financial year. They say the financial years up to 21 cover a period of 12 months. So the revenue that reflected, the numbers that reflected in the profit and loss is numbers for the year. So cash flow statement will show the movement of funds. So it's basically the sources and application of funds, where company get funds and how did they apply, they spend the cash flow. Yeah. So these three financial statements are very important when it comes to ratio analysis. So come to ratio analysis. Of course, there are many areas that even businesses look at. Yeah. But basically, it can be divided into four broad categories. First one is to understand the liquidity position of the company. Yeah, liquidity position measure the ability of the company to pay their financial obligations. Yeah. How do they have enough
Sorry
money?
to interrupt, Professor Eddie. Your voice is breaking. Your voice is breaking.
All right. So what should I do? Huh? Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah, liquidity. Yeah, I will continue. So liquidity measure the ability of the company to repay the financial obligations. Yeah? So by looking at the liquidity ratios, we have a better gauge whether the company has sufficient cash flow to meet their financial money to pay for interest repayment, loans repayment, all those things. So the second one is about liquidity. Of course, you can measure it by current ratio. So I'm not going to into details because I suppose so leverage. The leverage is about the measure of the debt level, debt equity, how much acquire from banks. So and how much more can they do?
Again, Professor Edith, the same problem is happening.
How? Wait, So is it better now?
Better now.
Let me stop my. I can't stop my video. You guys stop my video, then you can't see. Let me continue. So the next ratio is about efficiency of the company. So efficiency, we measure how the company make full use of assets. So when you talk about inventory turnover, so it means how many times the company, how efficient the company is to turn around the stock. How many times do they generate? Or in certain instances, we it's the ratio in number of how long it takes. For example, how many days the stock sit in, for example, 3 days, 45 days. So and the last one is about profitability. So we measure about gross margin. So this is important because businesses that cannot record profit will not be able to survive for a long time. Yeah, so they cannot operate without profit. So we must measure this ratio. So okay, with these are the 4 main areas that financial ratio analysis will. Yeah. So just now I mentioned about the bar chart. I mean on the left of this. So you see there's a bank statement analysis and also ADB. So when we do financial analysis, either you are doing it as a owner of the business, you want to know how exactly your business is doing. So you look at the financial. But when you want to look at third party financials for whatever reasons, maybe you want to understand more about your competitors, or you want to do collaboration with competitors. So you may want also to do further analysis on the bank statement analysis, and also the aging. Of course, this document may not be easily accessible to you. But why is bank statement analysis important? Because it can actually show, mentioned earlier, because balance sheet is a snapshot of the figures on the last day of the year, right? What would happen before December? So by looking at the bank statement, you can actually look at whether the company has been operating consistently, or were there incidences of being bounced off due to insufficient funds. All right, and when we look at the aging list, so we basically look at how fast the company debtors from the creditors, how fast the company paid to the suppliers. So by looking at the trend of all these reports, then we can know the behavior of these companies, how good is the management of the company. So financial analysis is broad and it's very important for the business. Okay, this brings us to the which is financial decision. Yeah. So we can see there are 3 blocks of information here. On the left, it's investment, financial, dividend. So these are the areas where businesses they need to make whether or not they proceed with a certain investment. Investment can be internal or external. Internal means when the company wanted to expand the production line, for example. So this one incurred a lot of money. So the company needs to assess the financial position of the company, whether or not to proceed with investment. And investment can also, as I mentioned just now, can also relate to whether or not you want to proceed with this information. So the second one is about financial. Financial is basically referring to financing and funding of this investment. Whether you want to do it borrow money from the bank or to other sources. And the third one is about dividend. Dividend is also part of the financial decision. When the company make money, you need to decide whether or not, first, whether or not you want to pay dividend to a shareholder. Number two, if you decide to pay, how much to pay, right? Can you stop from paying dividends? Because bear in mind, it's very important, because if the company is not making money and you don't pay dividends, there's no problem. If the company is making money and yet you don't pay dividend, then the shareholder will. So we need to strike a balance, right? If you make money, you pay less, then you have to explain, you justify the reason why you paying so these are the three important way you need to do financial decision. So the middle part is about it divided into financial and non-financial. Financial, of course, you need to do a financial forecasting, do the budget, how you want to investment, yeah, the expenses, revenue, how you want to spend it. Stress test is very important as well. It's also known as what you call it, sensitivity. Yeah. So you will stress certain factors. For example, let's say you are expecting the sales to be 50% with the increase of this additional investment. What would happen if sales only increase by 15%? So would you be able to generate enough cash to for instance? So stress tests, these are important as well. Yeah. And on the non-financial aspect, of course, these are is very broad. We're talking about analysis, like you want to know about the economy, how would the situation impact your business. For instance, to now you have COVID, you want to do your investment, or you want to defer it because the environment may not be right. If you want to do it now. And the second one is about SWOT analysis, to understand the strength of the weaknesses and how to price on opportunities. The last one I think is very important as well. ESG stands for environment, social, and governance. Yeah, so this is important if a business want to continue the sustainability. So these are all financial decisions. And on the right side of this one is about the way which the company can fund their investment. If the company is cash rich, of course you can use your internal cash to do it. If you don't have enough money, then you may have to borrow from banks. And if you want to borrow, then of course you need to come up with a financial plan to justify your repayment capability. Then the bank will continue for you, or otherwise you have to talk to the shareholder to look for capital injection can be by right issue or private placement. So this financial decision is very important, but that need to be supported by a financial analysis. Yeah. Okay, I will quickly move on to the next slide. Yeah. So as I mentioned, if you do this financial decision for your own company, it's fine. What to do on the third party with the plan of collaboration through M&A, joint venture, or even the collaboration. So you need to do a deep dive into analysis. I'm sure you heard about window dressing, right? Because balance sheet auditing is numbers, and most of these numbers, if you were to work with a third party for collaboration, they will furnish you their latest audit, 6-7 months old, and so you want to do a window dressing. Window dressing. Window dressing is, I mean, some people call it manipulation of financials. I mean, to make the financial looks better. And sometimes businesses also adjust some numbers for tax planning purposes. Also, instead of reporting that much of profit, they will manipulate. They will change some number and do some adjustment here and there, so that the profit number will come down. So that they have to So normally this kind of window dressing happen in these 4 areas. Number one, is the easiest way for company to adjust, because it's very difficult sometimes, depending on the nature of the stock. Yeah, sometimes it's very difficult to accept the value of the stock. For example, if a fish or prawn farmer, also how can you ascertain the number of prawns in the pond, right? You prawns of fish in the pond. It's very difficult. So it's up to the owners to detect auditors. So I, based on my experience, so this, in my stock. So it's very difficult to understand the real value of this. Hearing. So what is the action? Right? Because as you say, as I said just now, some companies can just pay out the loan to the last day of the financial year. So eventually bring down the ratio. But when we do a dive on the banks, then we will know. And you can also do a computation based on the interest being paid by the company. Go backward, how much because you can see the interest expense on the balance, the P&L. So you work backward based on this interest rate. How much is the average debt that owed by the company? And the third one is about the assets. Market value is again, it's very sometimes companies not even evaluate the assets for many years. So again, also to assess on the quality of the receivable, how many of these debtors are actually funded, right? You never receive this kind of debtors sometimes. And the last one, of course, is contingency. How much guarantee has this company on for financing or even for subsidiary or for private reason? Any bigger streets against this company? Okay, so this is all important information before you go into a venture or collaboration with a party. Yeah? So you do additional homework to cover all this verification. So the last part, yeah, I have is time. So I will spend another 1-2 minutes on this very quick. Financial management, yeah. So in business there are various types of. Yeah, you have operational, strategy, compliance. Of course, maybe I will be talking only about financial risk. Yeah. Financial risk. When we talk about financial risk, we are talking about interest rate. Right? So when the companies have received borrowing, so any movement on the interest rate, I mean, will impact them. Sometimes even and when the company is involved in import and export, foreign exchange will be very important that they need to manage, because any movement to the company will impact the profitability of the liquidity. So you want to make sure you have enough cash flow to service your obligation or this thing. And commodities, I mean, this is very glaring when we look at I mean, at one time oil prices has been very volatile. So many airlines that hedge their fuel ahead, they are being on this. So this one, when the fuel price came down and you hedge it at a higher price, and you have to manage this. So financial risk is very important. So this is the last slide. So this is some of the best practices that I would really recommend a business to. So number one, to start off with, businesses must have accurate and transparent records. So this is important because you yourself need to, as an owner, you need to clear knowledge of your financial. And you also need to have realistic financial plan. When I say realistic means something that is, because I do not want some companies, I mean, just to bosses, I mean, the financial managers will financial plan. For example, if now during this COVID pandemic, you can't expect your business to grow tremendously over the next 12 months or so. Yeah. So you need to be realistic. And spending is important. I mean, diligent spending, and you must have proper internal control to ensure spending are justified and only on productive areas. And lastly is to build your business. So during pandemic, I mean COVID-19 pandemic, most businesses, especially the SMEs, down. Why? Because they don't have enough cash flow to support their own activities. So on the right hand side, you look at it, the ultimate goal is to achieve sustainability over long term. I mean, to achieve this, we must have a very strong leadership in the company. Things change. If you don't have a strong leadership, I think it's difficult for any business to progress. I mean, technology, I think Professor Majdi touched on this as well. Technology, digitalization, all these things is important. I mean, way forward. And lastly, you have to comply with all the rules and regulations set by the authority. So these are the few best practices that business should adopt in achieving their business sustainability in the long term. So with this, I end my presentation. So I start by 3 minutes. Okay. Go back to you, Professor. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Eddie.
Thank you.
Now we have to move to our last keynote speaker. Our last keynote speaker, Dr. Ranu Jain from Sydenham Institute of Management Studies, Research and Entrepreneurship Education. Dr. Ranu Jain, a PhD in Capital Market, has been working actively in the financial literacy field with SEBI for the last 4 years. She has various national as well as international publications to her credit. Dr. Ranu Jain, the time is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Before I start, I seek the blessings of Goddess of Knowledge, Goddess Saraswati, our speakers, our organizers, the AIBPM team, and the universities, Nagari, Malang, and our speakers, Dr. Majdi, Mr. Eddie, our panelists, Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair, Professor Bakar, Professor A.A. Uttama, Professor Irfan Khan, Dr. Puji, and our very own moderator, Dr. Avijit Bakshi, and all the attendees. Good morning, everyone. A bright, happy morning to everyone. And I, for next couple of minutes, would be talking about, may I request the AIBPM team to start the slide share before I start?
Professor Eddie, have you stopped sharing? Did you stop sharing, Professor Eddie? So, Dr. Ranu, if since you are the co-host, you can also share the PPT.
Okay, yeah.
Just try it on.
Sure. Okay, so for next couple of minutes, we would be
This slide is
discussing.
not still visible, Dr. Ranu.
Okay.
Is there any issue, Dr. Ranu?
No, basically AIBPM team would be playing onto the slide because here it cannot be played. So they say that it would take a minute or so. So meantime, we can start by the time they come up with the slide.
Okay, let me try.
Hello, everyone. Okay, yes, I'm ready to share the slide.
Yeah, okay. Go
Okay,
ahead.
we're sorry for the inconvenience. We just had some connectivity issue.
No issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see the slide now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next couple of minutes, we would be talking about financial literacy. Now, financial literacy, I think, is if a nation has to prosper, it is financial literacy which would pave way for a better and developed future. And how the what's and how and where, everything about financial literacy, I'll try to cover up in the shortest form in next 20 minutes that I have. So again, I would request the attention for from everyone because the statistics say that it's only 33% of the world population which is financially literate, And as we know that money today is everything. It's money is everything, and if you have to take even a single step ahead, it is money that would take you ahead. So yes, if you are financially literate, that would help you to become a better being, right? So next one, please. It is said that managing money is the root from which the birds of prosperity blossoms, right? So here I would like to take few examples.
Dr. Ranu?
Yes.
Okay. Could you please wait for 1 minute? I will stop.
That's okay. You can
Okay.
continue. You can move on to the slide. That's
Okay,
okay.
please wait for 1 minute.
Okay. So it is said that managing money is the root from which birds of prosperity blossoms. And so if we take example, must have heard of Oprah Winfrey, right? She comes from a very humble background. Her mother was a maid and father was a coal miner and a barber, right? But if you look at her net worth now, it's approximately $4 billion, right? Another one that I would like to quote is J.K. Rowling, right? Her journey from an unemployed mother to UK's best-selling living author has been just amazing. If you talk about Steve Jobs, you talk about Warren Buffett or Jeff Bezos, all of this, and you know the examples or the list is endless. But I would like to quote here that making money or earning money is the video is on. The spotlight should be on me. Yes. Okay. So making money is easy, but its management is very crucial. And in order to make judicial decisions and to make use of financial services, it's essential that people should be literate enough to understand the basics of managing money. And that's what financial literacy is all about. It enables people to make the right financial choices and judicial use of their finances, right? So the concept of managing money forms a very crucial part of financial literacy. Now, before I proceed, the next two slides will give you some idea about the statistics, not only about India, but across world. Okay, so the next one, please. Okay, so see, India is one of the emerging economies, and the second biggest smartphone market with over 220 million smartphone users are there in India. But when we talk about the digital payment interface that they use, not even 10% qualify, right? So there's a huge potential, this COVID situation, the pandemic altogether has again emphasized onto how important it is to build up the infrastructure to be digitally enabled, right? So if we are digitally enabled, if we use all these facilities, the life would be much easier. The second statistics, it says that yes, India, we have somewhere around 17.5% of world's population, which is around 1/5 of world's population. But that is actually alarming that 76% of the Indian adults, they lack or they don't understand what financial literacy is all about. The very basic concepts like the power of compounding, interest, real interest rates, what are bank rates other than FD, is what are the investment options available to them, what is inflation, something like savings and investment. These terminologies are, they are not familiar, and that is a staggering 3/4 of the population, right? And this is not only for India. If I talk about the world financial literacy is somewhere around 33%. If we can move on to the next slide, you can see that in the graph itself, for Asia, the financial literacy number is around 23, 24, and 26%. That's what it is all about. And even so, India, if we talk about in terms of economy size, it is around 5 trillion, right? So we are the 3 trillion. Sorry to for that. It's 3 trillion, which is fifth largest economy in the world, right? But it stands 23rd when it comes to financial literacy. So this gives us a lot of scope. There's a lot of room which awaits, right? So if people are financially literate, that would lead to a better future, and a lot of advantages come with it, right? So also, if I talk about male to female, if we can move on to the next slide, please. Yes. So if we talk about women and female male and female literacy ratio, even there, women are lagging behind, right? So the center part of the table, as you can see, the red bar represents male literacy ratio, and the black one representing female literacy ratio, wherein the red bar is higher. That means the males are more financially literate, and even there the numbers are not that satisfactory, but yes, okay. And be it emerging or developed economies, the consensus is same, where and see why we need to focus, and there are few specific areas that we get from this particular slide. The data speaks for itself, wherein if we focus on female literacy, the numbers that we see on the first part of slide, wherein India stands 23rd. If the position is to improve, how can we do that? If we focus on female literacy, again, there's a saying that you educate a man and you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a family, right? So from her to the entire family, financial education, financial literacy would flow in, then that will become a part of it, right? So we should focus. Again, the last part of the data shows that the financial literacy is lowest in senior citizens. So all of this, if people are aware about what financial planning is all about, then one of the aspects being covered is retirement planning, right? So all these problems, as we see, they can be very easily tackled if we take financial literacy into consideration. So the problem of retirement planning, homeless people, old age homes, all of this can be tackled through financial literacy. Okay, so it teaches you the ability to understand. The next one, please. Now, as I've already discussed, these data highlight in itself the importance of financial literacy, right? So we do have individual benefits for sure, and apart from individual benefits, yes, if we talk about what kind of individual benefits do you get, so it's the ability to understand the basic financial concepts, right? Financial literacy gives you that power so that you know how to generate, how to spend, invest, and save your own money, right? So it brings a better financial status. It enhances your standard of living. And when you know that these are the options available at your disposal, then you learn and you try to make use of those facilities, and that's where infrastructure comes into picture. It gives you information, it gives you better infrastructure. So I was somewhere reading about an article by Mr. Rajat Gandhi in the Economic Times, and he said that no matter how many banks you open or how many booths you have on the ground, if a person does not know about financial options that are open to him, or the policies and schemes and financial instruments, whatever government tries to come up with, it would mean little, right? So it's very important for a person to firstly know what to look for, and then think of the benefits that he or she can obtain from. So if we know that these are the options available, it helps us to build a better infrastructure, right? And when we have a better infrastructure, obviously this goes on to build a good nation. And we know that if we talk about Asia, Indonesia and Malaysia, they have been actually in the forefront. They were the first few Asian countries who took baby steps initially in financial literacy, and there's a difference that we see in their economic development right now, right? So that's why financial literacy is very important. If we talk whether it is about the individual perspective or nation as a whole, that is very, very important, right? The next one, please. Now, having talked about financial literacy so much, I would like to present in very brief. This is the best figure that I could think of. Very briefly, it would focus on to how. Very briefly, this tells us that what financial and planning is all about, and how do you go. So as Mr. Eddie also pointed out, he was talking in terms of bank, and this is in terms of an individual, right? So the first thing that you need to consider is your current net worth. Now, what is current net worth? It is nothing but in simple language, I can say a layman language, this is your value. What is your value? You add on to all your investments, and you add on to your assets, and you subtract your liabilities, right? So that will give you your net worth. Once you know your value, next you need to think about the financial goals or dreams that you want to pursue, and it's very necessary to divide them in short term, medium term, and long term. So short term, the time duration is something that you are looking to fulfill or achieve in a year or so. Medium term ranges from 1 year to 3 years, and then we have longer time duration, which is beyond 3 years, can extend on to 5 years, 10 years. So the examples, for example, if I am planning for a vacation or so, would fall into my medium term, and short term, maybe I'm looking for a bike or a car, specific model of a car, and longer term can be say children's education, or you are looking for retirement planning. All of this is a long term. Now, having decided your goal, you need to assign values to them, right? So if I'm planning to buy a car, is it worth INR 10 lakh, or that's worth INR 15 lakhs, or 20 lakhs, or it's 5 lakh, right? When you assign values, also you need to consider one thing which is very, very important, because if we miss on to this, many times our financial planning, to some extent, there's a possibility of a loophole into that, right? Or so you should take into consideration the inflation, right? What's the inflation rate, and based on that, if you compound it, the future value, if you calculate taking inflation into consideration, this would make your plan into a much better standing, right? The chances of it getting converted into a reality would be more. Okay, you won't fall short of funds if you take inflation into consideration. Now, having decided your goals and assigning values to them, right? How much the next thing that we need to consider is the risk appetite, right? And that's very, very important, whether I'm willing to take more risk or I'm willing to take less risk, right? Now, there are variety of investors. Some are conservative in their approach, some are ready to take risk, they adore risk. So based on your age factor, what type of income do you have, if you have more number of dependents, or so your work area, how financially independent you are, all of this would help you to gauge your risk, right? And see, second, third, and fourth, they are very important when we talk about financial planning, because once you decide onto your goal, you assign them values and you know your risk appetite. These three, when you take into consideration, you very well then have a basket of investment options, right? For short term, maybe these are the options available. For medium term, right? Now this is because this is a process, and it would come in when you complete each and every step in a systematic manner. So there are variety of options available, right from equity, debt, be it precious metal or real estate. Whole lot of investment options, government schemes are also there. So you do have these options available, and you can take an informed decision after you consider the previous steps, right? So this was a brief an idea about how do we go about financial planning. And if you know all of this, then you are a financial literate person. Now many times, the next one please, I've seen that people or parents, they shy away. Next slide please. They shy away when it comes to financial, talking about finance to children, right? They are actually, they don't want to discuss finance matters in front of children. No, you are small, and what if you speak about this to someone else and all of this. No, I think if we teach children right from the very beginning, that as we teach them to learn and write, right, we make them literate. Making them financially literate is also very, very important, right? Because like, it is invaluable life skill which should every individual should possess, right? As we teach them, okay, this is how you should, because if you pursue this particular degree, and then you would get these many benefits. But if you don't know how to manage your money, ultimately all the riches that is being bestowed on you can go for a toss if you are not good with money management. So make sure we teach our children the basics of finance, how to save, the habit, inculcate in them a habit of saving, maybe through piggy bank system or whatever. And I see a lot of young people here, right? Many students, like professors, all of them are here. If we start early, then the power of compounding is huge. And here I would like to make a suggestion. Even though it is this movie, a short educative movie, it is in Hindi, but it has subtitles and you can gain out of it. It's named as One Idiot, and beautifully they have explained and inculcated all the financial literacy aspects in this particular movie. So if you have 30 minutes, you can take a note of it and do give it a shot, right? So teach your children about financial literacy. Okay. So I would come on to the concluding remarks, that see, financial literacy, a lot government has been doing lot of work, and be it celebrating financial literacy week. I think across world, financial literacy week is being celebrated, wherein all the government authorities, they try to reach out to maximum number of people, right? In terms of and educate them on financial front. But until and unless we do it for ourselves, we take this initiative. Because I have seen people asking that, okay, this is so complex, investing, how do I select whether, how do I do ratio analysis? And I would like to give you a very small example here again. I've seen people, when they go out to take vegetables, they do stop at some 2-3 vendors and then take choose the best out of that, right? Or if we take something like a cell phone or a laptop, when we choose onto the model, not everyone is an engineer, right? But we do some Google search, we ask our friends and relatives, and then take informed decision that okay, based on these criteria that I am looking for, these are the features which are available in this particular model, and that's how I would like to go for this particular specific model based on the price range and features, because it satisfies my objective. So if you can do it for other things, why not do it for your own money, right? So that is where financial literacy comes handy. Educate yourself, right? If you educate yourself, there's nothing better. Okay. And please don't think that it's, oh, whether you are in your 20s, 30s, 40s or 50s, it's never too late. The price of procrastination is huge. So right time is now. You just start today and you will see a difference, what difference it makes in your life. Maybe after years, maybe just go on, continue this for next 2, 3, 5, 7 years, and you would see a difference in your financial status. Yes, drop by drop makes an ocean, and that's what the financial planning does. So slowly and gradually, if you start, if you educate yourself, that's where it would make a difference. So here I would like to end, but before that, let me take opportunity to thank the entire AIBPM team, and especially Dr. Firdaus Malik, who introduced me to AIBPM, and all the attendees, speakers, panelists, the organizing team. Thank you so much for your patient listening and time. My mail address is already highlighted. For any suggestions and discussions, we are most welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank
Over
you,
to
Dr.
you,
Ranu.
sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ranu. Discussion from the panel keynote speaker, it is now over. Now we have moved towards the panel discussion. So before we move to the question answer session, I would like to introduce our the panelist. So our first panelist is Dr. Rajesh Kumar Nair from SIES College of Management Studies. He is a PhD in Commerce and Management, 26 years in corporate and academic in MBA College. He has been a consultant to various SMEs, consulting them in marketing, sales promotion, sales training activities. He has also published various papers in academic journal of repute. Our second panelist, Professor Abu Bakar Abdul Hamid from Putra Business School, Malaysia. He has chosen academics at his profession in the 1992 from a lecturer and later rise to a professor of marketing and supply chain management. He holds a BBA and MBA from the Northrop University, USA and PhD from University of Derby, UK 2003. He has demonstrated an excellent record of teaching and supervision for more than 25 years in academic field, both in undergraduate and postgraduate levels. His notable contributions are recognized locally and internationally as proven by the invitation as invited speaker, reviewer and editor in journals, external assessor, internal and external examiner, with such contribute to any academic institution globally. Our third panelist, AAGDE Satia Utama from University of Yalanga. He is an assistant professor in the Department of Accounting, Economics and Faculty at from 2014 to 2019. He served as Secretary Coordinator of Accounting Program Chair, and he receives a Master in Accounting from University Erlanga and is currently doing progress in PhD at a similar university. His research interest in accounting informations, qualitative methods, sustainability and community development. Recently, he is still doing some research project, collaboration and book chapters. Our fourth panelist, Irfan Hussain Khan from Government College, University of Faisalabad. He is an health economist, lecturer and researcher at Bahauddin Zakaria University, Multan, Pakistan. He is also a part of editorial board of members of several international journals. Our fifth panelist, Dr. Puji Handayati from University of Negari, Malang. He is a lecturer in the accounting program at the Faculty of Economics, State University, Malang, and a vice dean of the Faculty of Economics, State University. In 2006, she obtained her degree in management accounting from University of Brawijaya. Her research interests include financial accounting, management accounting, science, economics, capital market, research methods, sustainability, governance, and village financial management. All right, thank you for the interesting and informative talk from the all keynote speaker. Now it is time for the Q&A session. So, I have received some mails regarding that. Regarding some question. It is first question. I got a mail from Professor Puji. So, Professor Puji, can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Are you there, Professor Puji?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Good evening. Thank you very much, as the topic is very, very interesting for me. My question is, in many countries, when the COVID pandemic occurred, there were any companies experiencing bankruptcy. The second condition of the COVID was entrepreneurship to the skip digital technology. Including to the small medium enterprise. Is my question, and what are the effective steps by can take survive and rise from this condition? Thank you very much.
To whom you are asking this question? Is it common to all, or to some particular keynote speaker? Professor Puji, is it to all or to someone else? Okay, I think she has got a look at the connectivity issue. So I would like to ask Professor Majdi the question that she was asking. It is mainly for that SME sector. Professor Majdi, are you able to hear me? Professor Majdi, are you there? Professor Majdi, are you able to hear me? Okay. Next, Professor Edi, are you there? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. But can you please repeat the question, because the voice was
yeah. Her question, it was mainly for that SME sector. Those who are from SME sector, any particular strategic point of view, you can tell them that so that they can confront this pandemic situation.
Okay, yeah. So I think a few things that SMEs need to do. One, to overcome, pandemic, they have to overcome the immediate challenges that they are facing. The first one is about the cash flow. I think I mentioned it just now, the cash flow position that most of the SMEs are facing today. So I think this is immediate challenges that SMEs need to do. So they can either put into their internal funds to reach over this difficult period, or to leverage on some of the government financial assistance offered by the government, to get some financing from banks, or get some grants, some kind of incentive. So that is a short-term solution for SMEs. And they must also find ways to see how they can actually reduce, to better manage their cost efficiencies. So they have to reduce the cost to manage their cash flow, and to find ways to how to normalize their business, because under this new normal, things are not the same anymore. Because the consumers' behavior has changed, and most of the consumers are also quite reluctant get out from their house to do this shopping or this thing. So they may have to changes on their business model procedures to go into online. So this is the immediate areas that SMEs need to work on: cash flow, cost management, and also channel. So in the longer terms, they may have to embark on the digitalization transformation. Yeah? And again, this one you need to have a very strong leadership within the company. So digitalization is something that I think all SMEs must seriously consider. Yeah, because before, even before this COVID pandemic, I think most government already not all the SMEs or businesses are actually into that.
Okay.
My view.
Okay. Thank you, Professor AD. Professor AD was focusing about that cost management and the cash flow management. It is for the as a short-term measure, because since we are now passing the, it is not a particular SME, but it is across the globe. It is a common problem for the SMEs that they are passing through that some financial stress condition. So in order to combat that stress, obviously they need to look after the cost management as well as the cash flow management. It is very, very vital for the existence of the SMEs. Okay. So I would like to next ask Professor Irfan. We have also got a mail from Professor Irfan. So Professor, you yourself and ask that question.
Yes. Are you hearing me?
Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. Thank you to AIBPM, all the keynote speakers, Dr. Avijit Bakshi, and a very welcome to all of you in AIBPM sessions. It is a very good platform for gathering and sharing their knowledge all around the world in a pandemic situation. My first question with Dr. Professor Majdi. He definitely explained well about their strategy planning about their country. Like, my question that how poor countries companies planning their strategy during COVID-19 pandemic, because in their poor countries like Nigeria, like African countries, they have no proper communication system, IT system. Their culture, their environment are not suitable in their COVID-19. How they manage their planning according to their cultural habitat, their environment, because they have different social, economic, political condition in their environment, and how they manage all these things in their pandemic condition to pack up their to boost up their planning, to boost up their business strategy in their own respective countries. Because in their slides they only mention the cultural environment sides, but if we move toward their poor countrysides, poor countries having no system like cultural habitats, like environment, social, economic condition, they are always against their planning strategy. Then how they manage all these things with their that type of cultural things?
Okay, are you aiming this question to a particular keynote speaker, or it is common to all?
This is a special to the Dr. Professor Majdi.
Professor Majdi, are you there? Professor Majdi, are you there? I think he's not there. Professor, Irfan, he was talking about that mainly the third world countries problem, as they are facing some economically, politically, socially, they are coming from the weak background. So in time of this COVID situation, how they will confront this situation? So I think this particular point, it is covered by to some extent by Professor AD to that last
Yes.
question, that when she was talking about the SME sector. So I think it is common across the globe, across the country, whether it is a developed country, whether it is an underdeveloped country. It is a common that is the cost management, cash flow management for the short-term perspective, and in the long-term look after the digitalization that Professor Majdi was talking about. So I think it is same for that third world countries also. It applies to the third world countries also. Now I would like to go to the one. I have received one question from in the chat box, I can see, but name I cannot see. he has some scheduled class, so he has some question, so he wants to put up that question because he has a class scheduled for the students, but I cannot see his name. So
Dr. Avijit, it is me, Dr. Rajesh Nair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Thanks to all the speakers, Majdi, Dr. Eddie, and Dr. Ranu Jain for a wonderful, presentation on this topic. It has been a lot of insightful, with this, and I'm sure everybody would be benefited about it. Before I ask my question to the panelists, especially to Dr. Ranu Jain, a wonderful topic on financial literacy. I feel, this is one area where even everybody has failed. Let me be very blunt on that. Right from the educators to the government, everybody has failed, even including the parents. Financial literacy is of extreme importance. You have highlighted the issue very well. How even adults are financially illiterate, even though they might be educated, they are financially illiterate. They do not know
Very
how to
true.
handle money. So you mentioned about a very interesting thing, Dr. Ranu, that how parents play a very important role from the childhood. I do agree with that. Besides parents, I think we educators play a very, very important role. Why
Yes.
why cannot we have financial literacy subjects right from school level?
Yeah. So, thank you
Yeah,
so much
yeah,
for
ma'am.
the,
Just like to add a little more things.
yeah.
So I think so. We should look into financial literacy subjects right from the age of 10, and see to that they learn the subjects every year with respect to this. So my take on this is that they should have right from the age of 10. So whatever they pursue, whether it's arts, commerce, science, they should learn about financial literacy. Okay, in whatever streams they are doing it. So right from the age of 10, this is something which we educators need to look about it. The next thing which I have highlighted about that, how do we bring about financial literacy among students? This is something which we need to really ponder about. Should we have it theoretically, or should we look at live projects? Because as we know, live projects can give a lot of learning to students. So I would like to have your thoughts on this, Dr. Ranu Jain. Thank you very much
Sure, sir.
for giving the opportunity, Dr. Avijit Bakshi. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to all the speakers also.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful question. And we have been doing a lot of work in financial literacy, wherein we do go to not only urban or tier 1 or metro cities, but we have a lot of workshops in rural areas as well. So let me give you a very brief about efforts being taken in terms of financial literacy. Okay, your first part of question was, why don't we have financial education in schools? So yes, as an educator, it's our prime responsibility that if we inculcate this habit right from the start, it would be very easy to take financial literacy ahead. And I would like to give you again an experiment which was being done by Kahneman and Tversky when they were introducing or learning about this particular subject known as behavioral finance. Very recently it has come up, and a lot has been, again it's again a kind of trending topic or subject. Now they studied somewhere around 200 children under the age of 10, and the children were put in a room with a marshmallow. Okay, and they were given a choice that if you want to eat this marshmallow, you can eat it one, you have it now, you can have it. Okay, but if you are able to hold on to your gratification for 15 minutes, okay, you will get 2 marshmallows. And you know what, 70% of the children failed because they were alone in the room with a marshmallow right in front of you, and they just ate it up, they gave up. Even when few tried to hold on to their gratification, they weren't able to do so, and 70% failed. It was only 30% children who succeeded, and when later on this particular experiment was continued, and when their financial level was being talked about, right, when they started earning after a few years, those 30%, they were financially better off than the rest 70%. So this is again, as Professor Nair very rightly pointed out, that yes, if we inculcate this habit right from the childhood, that would make a lot of difference in your financial status. Okay, and now, realizing the importance of financial education, various boards, I know about CBSE and ICSE because there's altogether a setup in the name of NCFE, National Center for Financial Education, which is being set up, and they have collaborated with various state.
Dr. Ranu, sorry to interrupt you. We have to finish it by 10 minutes. Huh? So we have a time
Sure.
do it first.
In next 2 minutes, I'll answer the question and we'll wrap up. Okay. So they have collaborated with CBSE, ICSE, and are coming up with various educational institutes as well, wherein it would be a part of curriculum. It would be introduced and students will be taught about it, right? They would be getting a hands-on experience about what is saving, what is the difference between need, want. The entire curriculum is in place. Again, not only from a theoretical perspective, it would be done from a practical perspective for something like a piggy bank system, wherein students will be taken to banks and they would be introduced to the banking system, how you can open and operate small piggy banks. Savings can be put in your banks and you can earn interest of this. So all of this is into process.
Okay.
To
Thank
answer
you.
it. I hope I do answer your question, Professor Nair.
Yeah,
And
thanks
for any
for
further
that.
discussion, I would be more than happy if we can connect through mail.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, Dr.
Professor
Ranu. Thank
Bakshi.
you, Dr. Ranu. Thank you, Dr. Ranu. Now, I would like to go to the second panelist, Professor Abu Bakar. You have any question? You can put forward your question. Professor Abu Bakar from Putra Business School, Malaysia. Are you there?
To get in, why not? Okay, you get me my voice now? You get my
Yeah,
voice?
yeah.
Okay, I have few questions to Professor Eddie, Eddie here, from ESM. You know what?
We have some, sorry to interrupt you, we have some time constraint, but so a little bit fast. Huh?
Okay, sure. Okay, just one big question. Looking at the last slide, the best practice, no, actually, talking about transparency, building cash.
I have a question for all of you, but because the constraint of the times, I just want to ask for Professor Majdi. Professor Majdi, can you? I think the digitalization, technology, and aligned organization will well impact to financial strategies when supported with leadership or executives' behaviors. Any comment about my perspective about that? And what about the green strategy for selecting strategy? Thank you.
To whom you are asking this question?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
What about the supporting with the leadership, executives, behaviors? Yeah. For digitalization, technology, and alliance organizations to impact financial strategies.
Yeah, I think you are putting this question to that to Professor Majdi.
Yeah.
But Professor Majdi, are you there? I think he is not here.
Okay.
In the room, I think.
Okay. My second question to Professor Eddie. Professor Eddie, can you explain about the hidden facts as many critical verification you mentioned before?
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, about the critical verification. Yeah, so this one I was referring to the window dressing that we sometimes discover from financial analysis, because you see, I mean, for businesses, they like to sometimes camouflage some of the figures, yeah, for whatever reason. So one of the reasons is to make the financial looks better. Number two is for tax planning purpose. So some of the numbers they can actually, for example, stock level. So because it's so difficult to determine the actual value of the stocks, so they can actually manipulate on these stocks. So when they increase adjust the stock level, so it will affect the profitability of the company. So if the profitability is reduced, so they will end up paying less. But in the long run, so it will not change the total tax payable, because you only defer the tax payable, because eventually this thing needs to be surveyed. Right, so there's one area. Number two, I mean, for even listed company, it's very often, of course, all the adjustment, the manipulations of numbers are all done within the rules and regulations, yeah, because otherwise auditor will not sign it. So it's very important. Sometimes they do include pressing. That's why it's very often we see come year end, even banks they want to increase their, let's say, the cash holdings, yeah. So they will offer very good preferential deposit rate to attract money from the consumer, that they can level at the bank. So they don't mind to spend a little bit more money, but they want to increase the. So against this adjustment of numbers is depend on the objective, whether they want to do it to reduce some ratios, for example, gearings, right? You want to reduce the gearing, maybe the directors will put in some money to pay off the bank's
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Professor Eddie. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Professor Eddie. All right, thank you for that interesting and informative talk from all the keynote speakers. So, I have also asked to all the panelists. So, is there any question from the participants? Here I can see there are about 164 participants. So, since we have the time constraint, so only one participant he can ask your question. We can allow only one participant because we have some time constraints. From the participant, is there anybody who can ask some question? No? All right. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. From the morning, from the Indian Standard Time, I can say from the 8:30. So there are some exciting discussion. Starting from that Professor Majdi, who talked about the digitization, technology, and he has taken some example of the Google, some great organizations like the Google, the McDonald's, the Amazon, who has taken that the mechanical approach as well as that organic approach. So he talked about that overall corporate perspective, the strategic point of view. Next, Professor Eddie, he was discussing about that financial intelligence, interpreting the corporate financials and the financial decisions. And third keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Ranu Jain, she was talking about the financial literacy. I should say that this is the financial management of the individual. Am I correct, Dr. Ranu Jain? So
yeah, very correct, sir.
Yeah. So there are some exciting questions from that the panelist and from the panelists regarding that financial literacy. Some good suggestion. Why not the financial study literacy from that school level? Why should and the role of the teaching community? We have a teaching community. We have a role and responsibility towards improving that financial literacy, and as well as why not inculcate this literacy values of literacies among the children also. So thank you for the wonderful discussion. So we are looking forward some exciting topic and some exciting discussions also. So finally, the AIBPM talk and with all the keynote speaker has come to an end. It was exciting and interesting talk. Thank you AIBPM for having me. And thank you all the panelists and the participants that have followed the webinar. until the very end. I would love to see once again in the next webinar on the 10th September 2020 with the topic marketing. Thank you very much for joining the webinar today and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Avijit.
Doctor. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And
Thank you,
the
Abhijit.
AIBPM representative, I would request you just share the snaps that you have taken in the morning with us. Yeah, sure. Keynote speakers, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.